AITA for refusing to attend family events on my wife's side unless she stands up for herself. My wife, 35, and I, 36, have been married for 4 years and have 2 kids, 3 and 1. My wife's parents divorced when she was a teenager, and both her mom and dad have since remarried. There is a lot of competition between her mom, dad, and stepmom in terms of F.A. Miley time. Everything has to be equal, meaning if we spend an afternoon with her mom, then we have to do the same thing with her dad and stepmom. Mom and stepmom especially put a lot of pressure on my wife and guilt trip her about it. My wife has a lot of trouble standing up for herself and saying no. Before we had kids, this wasn't as big of a deal. If we had to attend 3 different Thanksgivings or Xmas gatherings, not a huge deal. I mean, it sucked, but it wasn't the end of the world. Now though, with 2 young kids, it's exhausting and I absolutely hate it. My wife and I have had numerous talks about her setting boundaries about this because I am at the end of my rope with it. The bickering and pressure is constant, and the need to keep everything equal essentially determines our entire non-work schedule. We had to attend 2 separate Easter events this spring. We're not even religious, because we went to one with her mom, so we had to do one with her dad and stepmom. After that, I told my wife I was done with this BS. I told her that she needs to stand up to her parents and start setting boundaries and saying no. I told her I won't allow her parents to continue to dictate how we live our lives. I told her if she is incapable of doing this, then I will absolutely step in and tell them off. But she begged me not to do that because she doesn't want to ruffle feathers and promised she would do better. Of course, that didn't happen. We ended up having to run around to 3 separate places on Memorial Weekend because of this same stuff. After we got home from the last stop, I told my wife I am done with this and will now pick and choose which things I want to go to. I won't stop her from going, and I will stay home with 1 or both kids if she doesn't want to take them, but I'm done. Lo and behold, this past weekend she was talking to her mom and 4th of July came up. My Phil had already invited us to his house for a pool day, and my wife told her mom about it. So of course we have to do something with them that weekend as well. When my wife told me about this, I told her that I will not be attending both, and I will choose if I want to attend either. My wife must have vented to her mom about this, because a couple days later, I got a call from my wife's stepdad, the only sane person in this really. He told me that he completely agrees with me and that he's talked with his wife numerous times about not pressuring my wife, but she doesn't listen either. He suggested that whenever his wife pressures my wife into keeping things equal, that he and I go golfing together instead. When I told my wife about this idea, she called me a jerk and told me I'm being unsupportive. User, discount Mithril NTA, but you two need to work on this to find a solution. Personally, the solution should be along the lines of telling everyone with 2 young kids it is just not possible to keep running around to different households for events and holidays. We are finding we don't have time to establish our own traditions with the children because we are trying to keep the peace between you two. With this in mind, we will be alternating holidays and choosing to skip some that we will want to keep to ourselves. Should we host, invitations will be extended to everyone, and we expect a civil gathering. If you don't feel you can contribute to that environment for the sake of the kids, then please reply no. Thank you for understanding. Your wife calling you unsupportive just reads as she needs someone to stand up for her because she doesn't want to do it for herself. Have a talk with your wife about how exhausting this is for you. Focus on wanting to spend more quiet time with her and the kids, instead of not wanting to do things with her family. Something you don't mention is your family. When do you spend time with them if you are divvying up holidays between 2 gatherings already for just her family? Original poster. Something you don't mention is your family. When do you spend time with them if you are divvying up holidays between 2 gatherings already for just her family? I didn't include it in the post because of character limits, but this is a big issue for me too. Time spent with my side of the family is drastically smaller than the amount we spend with her side. Thankfully, my parents are not insane and feel bad for my wife's situation. But I do miss spending extended time with them over holidays rather than rushing from place to place to see everybody. User, discount Mithril. This should be another thing you bring up with her when you talk to her. Let her know while your family has been understanding about this, she has been rushing you all around for the sake of fairness. in consideration to her family's needs, but has been so overwhelmed and flustered, your family has been getting the short end of the stick. If she truly wanted fairness, she would be considering their wants as well. I really empathize with you here. Both my husband and mine's parents are divorced, so holidays can be a mess. We finally set the boundary of, you got Christmas, Thanksgiving, etc. last year, so this year we are doing it with insert family. We got some guilt-trippy responses at first, but we stuck to our guns on this one, and it's been pretty smooth for the last 6 years or so. User, Noabies only, here is your wife. And no, I don't buy she just wants to keep the peace and feels guilted into anything. She DGF about keeping the peace in her own marriage or where your family is concerned. She prioritizes her peace with her family and uses excuses to not stand up for your family unit. When you dare stick up for your peace, all of a sudden she has backbone to stand up to you and call you names. Her meek demeanor only comes into play when dealing with her family. How convenient. Time to either go to marriage counseling and hash this out or just file for divorce if she refuses. Then she can divvy up her time between all her family on her scheduled holidays, and you and your family can enjoy the holidays without all the running around. User, loud ad. My in-laws are a large family. The in-laws' spouses have large families and divorced parents. It is exhausting, especially if they're near enough where you drive everywhere and if there are multiple sets of divorced parents. My son, when young, hated the car. It wasn't fair to him either. My Bill and his wife told everyone Thanksgiving is with in-laws and Christmas was with his wife's family. If Bill's family wanted to have a Christmas, they planned it for the Saturday before or after, as an example. Sometimes they have Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving. Sometimes it's on the Friday or Saturday after, taking into account everyone's schedules. So, for example, maybe one side gets Christmas Eve, though that's problematic if you have Santa duties. You have Christmas morning at home, maybe Christmas Day dinner with another side, and Boxing Day with the third side, if not doing the Thanksgiving-Christmas alternating schedule. Personally, I think 3 versions of the holidays seems miserable, or any weekend day near Christmas. Stepmom demanding equal time just builds resentment. Attend separately for a while. It's nice not having to constantly run around everywhere. User. Physical ad, wait, what? Your wife got mad at your brother after she dragged you around to her family events and showed up late for the meal with your family? Up until this piece of information, I was feeling bad for your wife and the pressure her family puts on her. But this shows that she just doesn't care about your family, and it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to assume that she doesn't actually care about how you feel either. You should definitely look into couples therapy, because your wife is playing the victim while actively forcing a lifestyle on you that you don't want. User. Aggravating pain. The best advice my father gave me when my child was born was to start making our own family traditions and to not feel forced to travel or to keep things even. Someone has to say no, and it should be your wife. There is no need to do Thanksgiving with each family. Learn to rotate the holiday. If mom gets Memorial Day, dad gets July 4th. If someone gets Christmas one year, then other parent gets Christmas the next year. Also, what about your side of the family? When do you get to visit with them? Enjoy golfing with your wife's stepdad. I am sad he is the only rational one. AITA. Their inability to be civil with each other is on them, and not you or your wife. Invite them both. The first person who steps out of line is politely and forcefully asked to leave. They will learn. User. Snowpixium. Not shocked at all. However, if the only option open to them is to get their shit together and act like civilized human beings to one another in order to see their daughter and grandkids, then shocker. They might do that, or they might fight. And then you and your wife can tell them that they can't see you all until they learn how to be decent human beings. Also, is this the type of example you want to give your kids? That it is okay to be walked all over and be driven to exhaustion as long as you make selfish people happy? Seriously? That isn't an example I want to give kids. Edit, forgot to add you are NTA. But your wife is for letting you, the kids, and your family down. The world is more than just her dad, mom, and stepmom. She is being TA by making unanimous decision to keep the even Stevens approach. User, Jersey 8894. NTA, I'm divorced from both my sons' fathers. Yes, they have different fathers. I told my sons as they started families to start their own traditions. When I do host something, their fathers' entire families are included because we share children and grandchildren, so to me we are all family. Now my oldest and his 5 kids in GFS have the cutest tradition. The Saturday after Christmas is our Christmas. This started due to a custody order years ago and it has just continued. The kids know on Saturday Christmases, they come to GMA's house in their PJs for GMA's Santa's presents. I know it may sound nuts, but those 5 grandkids love it. For your information, if Christmas falls on a Saturday, we schedule for after New Year's, as if Christmas is a Saturday, then New Year's is a Saturday. Last Thanksgiving, I had my 2 sons and their families, that is 11. Plus my youngest son's father and his GF and his mom and dad, plus my oldest son's half-sister and her BF. The Dills families are also included. So we had 42 people here for Thanksgiving and nobody had anything negative to say. After divorce, if you can't put it away for the kids' sake, you should be ashamed of yourselves.